Hi, welcome back guys, this is your friend the fanfic friend with fanfiction. This is what if Deku led the quirked revolution? Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into Althea fanfic. In China, a shining baby was born. It was something never in the history of humanity had ever been seen, something that science could only describe it as evolution, the next step in the history of humanity, and that scared people. More and more of these called quirks appeared on people of any age at any place. Children, teens, adults and even elders in the last minutes of their lives. It was so sudden that people quickly confused it with some sort of disease. A disease that turned normal humans into some sort of supernatural monsters. But normal people had an advantage that they lacked. Numbers advantage. The quirked people were so little in numbers that a big amount can get rid of them. No matter how strong they are, how much fire they can breathe or how cold is the ice they produce. Most were captured or killed rather quickly, including children. Want to know a fun fact? In 2005, I turned 4, and I also got a quirk. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and this is the story of the first heroes. 2005, Midoriya's household. Mom, when is Dad coming home? 4-year-old Izuku Midoriya asked to Inko Midoriya, his mother. It had been a couple of months since the dawn of quirks and a couple of days before. His father, Shota Aizawa, simply picked up his things and left. Inko forced a sad smile on her face before answering soon. He is just making sure we are safe. Izuku tilted his head without getting what his mom was saying. But wouldn't it be better if he was here with us? That way he can protect us. He was right, and she knew it. Shota left them because he had developed a quirk. He isn't sure what it does. He only knows when it is activated. His eyes turn red and his hair waves over his head. She remembers that scene so well. Izuku was drawing in the living room. Shota told her that if someone finds out about this, the three of them will be in trouble. Inko argued with him that they could push through this, that she loves him no matter what. Izuku will do too. But he was dead set on his decision. He promised to come and see them from time to time. They are still waiting. Inko ruffled his hair. Who knows? You know how Dad gets when he gets his mind in one goal. Izuku giggled as Inko walked into the kitchen. Now let's go. I made katsudon. Katsudon, Izuku exclaimed as he rushed to the kitchen. And there is where all changed. His eyes turned red and the world around him turned gray. Inko stopped moving as he was propelled forwards. He ran at a speed that he never imagined he had. It all stopped when he crashed against the wall. The world turned back into colors and Inko noticed her son against the wall, rubbing his arm in pain and about to pass out. That day was the one he received his quirk. Months later, it is hard, Katsuki Bakugo said to Izuku as both were laid on the sand in their secret spot, Dagobah Beach, or a place full of trash for other people. What thing? Izuku asked. These two had been friends for a long time, and they have one common thing that keeps them like that. Both have a quirk. Katsuki can produce explosions from his sweat while Izuku seems to stop time to pretend I don't have a quirk. My mom hates them. What if she found out about me having one? Mine knows and doesn't seem to care. I know, but my mom isn't yours, Katsuki said, and both descended into silence. What if we prepare? Izuku asked, and Katsuki raised a brow. If someone finds out about our quirks, we can prepare for that. We can use them to save us, Izuku said, smiling, and Katsuki smirked. And we can use this place as our hideout to train. And so, day after day, month after month, year after year, they trained their quirks in secret. They wanted to be ready if someone would come after them. Quirks were never seen kindly in society, and they had seen in the news the horrible things that they can do to them. 2010. Classroom. Very well, students, the teacher of the class of Izuku and Katsuki said as he was being flanked by two men in black with weapons. As you know, some time ago, laws for quirked were allowed, giving the same rights as quirkless people. Izuku and Katsuki couldn't help to smile a little. The first quirked minister arrived, much to the pain of, well, everyone that don't have a quirk. Thanks to that, the Prime Minister had to allow laws benefiting quirked. Inko told them to not expect much, due to the laws just making illegal the hunt of QUIRKED. Nothing else, but Izuku had hope. This was the first step for QUIRKED and QUIRKless to live in harmony. But, the teacher continued, these gentlemen will do a test to each and one of you to see if you have a quirk. If you do, I am afraid that you will have to leave the school for good. Oh no. 2015. Midoriya's residence. Want to do something today? Katsuki asked to his friend that shrugged. I really don't care, Izuku answered, and Katsuki snapped his tongue. Is there a fucking time you feel like moving your ass? Good grief, Izuku said, standing up and walking to the door accompanied by Katsuki. We are leaving, Mom. After 10 years since the dawn of quirks, little had changed. To save his reputation, the Prime Minister had to fire the quirk minister. The law remains, but people mentality hasn't changed. Today, 20% of the population has quirks, and that percent are hated and feared by the most of the other 80%. Hate and fear, something that both sides share in equal amounts against the other, but only in some years. Everything will truly start to change. Life of the quirked. There are two ways to identify someone with a quirk, both as effective. The first one, by the little toe test, as it is called. They have a system in most places, that once you pass it, see if you have or lack the bone in your little toe. If you don't have it, the thing will set an alarm. You know, the type of the supermarket when you try to steal something. The other one, by physical appearance. Not all, but some quirked people have a trait that marks them as quirked. An exotic skin color, horns, a tail, or in my case, earphones jacks hanging from my earlobes. Yes, earphones jacks. They appeared a couple of months ago. I went to sleep with normal ears and the next day, poof, I have these things. I didn't notice them until I walked into the kitchen and my mom screamed and my dad dropped his mug. I think the rest is obvious, right? Quirk daughter. Not really open parents with that theme, and the result is being kicked out of the house. And being honest, these last couple of months had been bullshit in their finest. I have to hide my quirk using some headphones I have. In most places it works, so I can do small works to have a little bit of money and go to a cheap dinner to eat. Sadly, I don't have enough money to go and sleep in an actual building, and when I do, they ask me to take off my headphones for security reasons. Security reasons my ass. Well, but this day was kinda different. This day I met Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo. A day that gave my life 180 degrees turn. I was walking down the street thinking, what can I do? I almost ran out of money and I was hungry. The street was pretty full, so no one minded me. And why should they? With my headphones on my head, I am just a normal quirkless person. Hey girl, nice headphones you got there, someone said, grabbing my shoulder. I turned around to see it was a teen, maybe a little older than me. He had freckles and red hair. I simply nodded and was about to continue my way, but the pressure I felt on my shoulder didn't left. Come on now. No need to give me the cold shoulder. You should come with us, right guys? Two other guys surrounded me and I knew they didn't really have nice intentions. They took me to an alleyway and one of them grabbed my headphones and took them out of my head, making my jacks visible. See? Told you she was a freak, the redhead one said. And other one, a smaller one, rolled his eyes. Whatever. What should we do with her now? A tall and fat one chuckled as he licked his lips. What if we have some fun with her? Are ya crazy? The redhead snapped. What if we become freaks? Sorry, I didn't think that. Well, look, I said as sweat formed on my forehead and the attention of the douchebags turned back to me. I haven't done anything bad, so why don't you guys let me go and we can just forget about this? I stopped when the red-headed one pulled out the switchblade. Why don't we make you normal again, freak? He said while placing the blade next to one of my jacks. I closed my eyes waiting for the worst when it happened. Minutes before, Izuku and Katsuki. Why the fuck you never want to do anything, Deku? Katsuki asked to Izuku as both of them were walking down the street. Katsuki woke up in a good mood, which wasn't often, wanting to do something fun. But everything he suggested to his best friend was simply answered with a good grief or a yawn. Both things infuriated the blonde. Izuku gave him a dry look. the bags under his eyes noticeable. What you want me to do? Go to the arcade or something? Yes, Katsuki snapped and Izuku shrugged. Good grief, I just wanted to sleep today. When doesn't you feel like sleeping? I had to drag you out of your place just to buy groceries for Auntie. Katsuki kept screaming at Izuku that seemed to be ignoring him. In truth, he was, but only because he caught sight of some guys cornering a girl with headphones. He can't explain this, but he always had a need to help people. Quirked or quirkless, people are people. Activating his quirk, he rushed to the other side of the street, avoiding cars. Once he was next to the alleyway, he saw that the girl had some earphones jacks hanging from her earlobes, a quirk, and one of the assailants had a knife. Izzy, he muttered before stopping time once again. He got into the scene, grabbed the switchblade and threw it into a bin. He then got himself behind the girl as time resumed again. The red-headed one said, noticing the knife was gone. You know, attacking Quirked is illegal since a couple of years ago. They turned to Izuku that was resting against the wall while looking pretty boring. The fuck are you? The small one said, and the fat one rubbed his head. When did he got there? The red-headed one smirked. Well, if ya are talking about laws, using your quirk in public is also illegal. Izuku shrugged unless it is for self-defense. Now beat it, before my friend comes here. He was mad since morning. The red-headed one snapped his tongue. This ain't over ya freaks, before the three of them ran away. Good grief, Izuku said before turning to the shaking girl. You okay? He asked as she nodded good. He was about to leave when the girl snapped at him. Oi, I didn't need your help. I was fine by my own. Izuku looked at her over his shoulder. Whatever. Before resuming walking, the girl gritted her teeth as she marched to him and turned him around. Listen to me. I am capable of surviving by my own. I had been alone for a long time and I can handle myself. Izuku just gave her a brief look. She was thin, maybe too thin, and her clothes were dirty. Good grief, he said as he turned around. Follow me. What are you talking about? We are going to my place so you can eat and shower. Or not. I am not forcing you. She looked to the ground before sighing. Name's Kyoka. Izuku nodded. Izuku, Midoriya's residence. Here you have sweetie. Hope you enjoy it. Inko said, giving Kyoka a plate of rice as Katsuki and Izuku were eating on the couch next to her. Thanks Miss Midoriya, she said as she started to eat. It isn't much, but it had been hard to find job lately. Izuku snapped his tongue. It isn't your fault. They only don't like that I am your son. Izuku, don't speak like that. Everything will figure itself out. Inko reassured him and Izuku simply shook his head. Hey, what's going on? Kyoka asked Katsuki that snapped his tongue. My shitty parents told the whole neighborhood that auntie here is giving housing to me and Deku. So, people also treat her close to a quirked, and she isn't? Kyoka asked, honestly surprised. It doesn't make sense that a quirkless person actually cares of the quirked. Mom is like that. She cares about every single soul. I guess that's why I went to help you before, Izuku said, and Katsuki glared at him. About that? You fucking left me alone. You are a big boy. I am sure you can take care of yourself. Kyoka smiled seeing their interaction before placing her bowl on the table. Well, for more fun this had been, I think I should leave. I don't want to bother you guys anymore. And where are you leaving exactly? Izuku asked, and Kyoka shrugged. Don't know. Where I can stay, I guess. Why don't you stay here? I know being surrounded by boys isn't ideal, but you could have a place to stay at least, Inko suggested before Katsuki smirked. Or you could go with me to a. Izuku groaned as he rolled his eyes, and again with this bullshit. Oi, that your old man works there doesn't mean it is bad, Katsuki said back, and Izuku closed his eyes. It is a prison with a nice name. Only an idiot would go there. What's a? Kyoka asked, interrupting the both of them. It is a school for the quirked. It has dorms, gym, cafeteria and everything you could ask, and the personnel is all quirked, Katsuki explained before Izuku snorted. It is just another excuse from the government to keep the quirked away from the quirkless. That way, the freaks are locked and the normal people are safe. Good grief, Kaken. I honestly thought you had more in your head. The fuck you say? Okay, guys, I'll think about it, Kyoka said, and both nodded, still staring at each other. So, Mrs. Midoriya, You don't mind us staying? Inko shook her head with a smile. Not at all. Feel free to stay the time you need. Kyoka nodded as one thought passed her mind. A place for the quirked. Sounds nice. School for special individuals. Come on, you moron. Hit him. The hell you think I am doing? Kaken, the opposite of hitting. Deku. Relax, the two of you. I got him, Kyoka said as she gave the finishing blow to the final boss in the game, Castle Crashers. Izuku smiled as he said, a good grief, as Katsuki simply grinned. Nice one, Kyoka. She twirled her iPhone jack with her finger. What can I say? I am just that good. Whatever. I am getting the princess this time, Katsuki exclaimed as Izuku shrugged. Sure, it is all yours, he said, placing the game controller on the ground. Kyoka nodded as she did the same. You haven't got any. You deserve it. Katsuki smirked as he started attacking the characters. Now you will see what I am made of. 5 minutes later. I hate you both, Katsuki said after getting surprised that the last princess was literally a clown with makeup and green hair. Kyoka laughed as she wiped the fake tear from her eye. Relax, Katsuki. In the next game you will do better. Talking about that. What other game you have? Izuku, Spelunky and Dragon Ball Ultimate Tenkaichi, he said, holding both games up, and Kyoka nodded, pointing to Spelunky. Spelunky is it then? Fuck, I suck at it. At what game doesn't you suck? Want to go at it? Deku. Relax, fight it out in the game. Just as they were selecting characters, the door was knocked and Izuku closed his eyes. Inka wasn't there and she had keys. So, it can't be her. Kaken. What day is it? Saturday. Why? Hour. 1:30 p.m. Why does it? Oh, he comes. Wait, who comes? Kyoka asked as Izuku stood up and walked to the door without answering. Meanwhile, outside. Okay, today is the day. Today, I will talk to Izuku. It can't be that bad. I already know that I have to duck if he grabs or gets close to anything that can break, and to not try to scold him. Not yet, at least. I took a deep breath as knocked on the door. I had flowers for Inko and a plushie of a zebra to Izuku. He still likes plushies, right? Wait, what if he doesn't? Shit. He is 14, almost 15, and most of his time he spends it brooding. Okay, relax, Shota. It will be fine. This time, it will work. The door opened and it was Izuku. I tried to smile to him. Hey kid, how are Beta Tezawa? He said, and before I could do anything, he slammed the door on my face. I didn't react, simply knocked again. Inside. Good grief, that man doesn't give up, Izuku said, walking back into the couch. Katsuki kept a solemn look as grabbed his controller, but Kyoka still didn't get what just happened. What was that? Nothing that matters, Izuku answered, but Kyoka was unsatisfied as the knocking continued. So, she stood up and went to the door. Troublesome woman. She opened and saw a man with long black hair falling on his face, a white scarf, and black clothes. His eyes seemed dry and had bags under them. Can we help you? The man looked at her before asking, can I talk with Izuku? I don't know if he wants to talk with you, Mr. Shota Aizawa. Right. Anyway. Who are you? Kyoka asked, and Shota's expression didn't change. I am Izuku's father. Kyoka's eyes widened as she started to look between Izuku and Aizawa, looking similarities. Anyway, I should leave, he said as he looked his watch. Can you give this to Izuku and Inko please? He said, handing her the flowers and plushie before leaving. Kyoka closed the door and turned around to see Izuku behind her as he took the gifts. Your dad seems cool. Whatever, he said, throwing everything into the trash can. Daddy issues? She pressured on. Yeah, nothing that you should know just yet. Kyoka nodded as they resumed to play the game for the last weekend in the 2 months Kyoka had been staying with the Midrayas and Katsuki. Because on Monday, she and Katsuki will start going to a Monday. You still can't turn around, Izuku said to both Kyoka and Katsuki as they were wearing the uniform, as they were carrying their bags with all they have to move into the dorms. Katsuki snapped his tongue and Izuku gave him a dry look. Wasn't talking to you, Katsuki. Whatever you say, Izuku. Inko gave them both a worried look and Kyoka sighed. You know, we can still see each other on weekends. I saw that they allow students to get out at that time, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I know, Izuku said as they got to the massive building called the School for Special Individuals. The first thing they noted were the security, barbed wire, tall cement walls, even armed guards and quirk detectors. Told you it was like a prison, Izuku said as Kyoka took a deep breath and walked in. Name, the guard demanded. Jiro Kyoka. The guard nodded as he saw her name on the list. Okay. Hand on your bags, we are going to check them. She handed him her bag as he started to see what it contained while other pushed her forwards. Quirk name, said another guard. One thing that she noticed was that all these guys were dressed in black like some sort of SWT team. Earphone jack. The guard nodded as she was handed her bag. Okay. All seems in place. Welcome to Jiro Kyoka. Katsuki looked at the entrance before giving Izuku a look over his shoulder. Izuku was looking at him with his usual deadpan expression, but he could see the nostalgia on his eyes. Good luck. I am going to miss you. Katsuki nodded. Yeah, I guess I am too. After some seconds of silence, the both of them hugged. Take care, Kaken. I will see you soon. Try to not get stabbed like that one time, will ya? Deku. Izuku let out an amused snort as they broke the hug. He tapped on his shoulder. Now go. A new life waits inside, Izuku said before leaving with Inkle that hugged Katsuki and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Goodbye, Katsuki. Remember to not give your teachers and classmates too much trouble, and to protect Jiro from anything. Izuku wanted to say that, but I guess he is too ashamed to say it in public. Katsuki smirked hearing that and seeing Izuku groan. Let's go, Mom. Orientation isn't too far away. As both Midriyas left, Katsuki entered the building that was going to be his new home. Class 1A dorms. Good morning. I am Ilda Tenya, class representative, here to greet you both. Katsuki and Jiro gave him dry looks as the blue-haired teen with glasses bowed over and over again. Whatever for eyes. Where is my room? Katsuki asked as Ilda flinched. I don't believe that is a way to treat your new classmates. Relax, Ilda. I bet they are just nervous to start here. A brown-haired girl said to them. I am Okako Uraraka, by the way. Guess you're right. I apologize, Ilda said, and Jiro raised a brow. What's his problem? Okako laughed nervously. He is like that. Now follow me, let me show you the place, she said, grabbing Katsuki's hand for his annoyance as Jiro chuckled to herself. After the tour, huh? So only quirk personal, just like the commercial, Jiro said. Yeah, that way we make sure that any quirkless idiot tries something, Ijiru Kirishima said, maybe not in that words, but he is right. That way both quirked and quirkless are safe, Momo Yairazu said, and Katsuki smirked. Guess that Deku was wrong. Deku, Mina Ashido asked, and Katsuki nodded. A friend of ours. The idiot said that this was some sort of prison, so he refused to come. Kamienari snorted. He sound really stubborn, but he isn't wrong at all, Shito Todoroki said, making the attention go to him. This place was made to keep the future generations of quirked in a safe place, while at the same time, making sure they don't hurt the quirkless. Katsuki shrugged. That sounds something Deku would say. Shito stood up and started to walk away. Then he is not only stubborn, he is also smart. Then why did you come? Jiro asked, and Shito looked at her over his shoulder. Because staying out isn't the only smart decision. Education or reservation. I can see you are happy to see me. Eh? Jiro asked Izuku as both walked down the street. Izuku with his deadpan expression and Jiro with a teasing smile. It was a boring week. Alright, Izuku said, and Jiro grinned. Come on, it isn't like you have anything to do. And besides, you never want to do anything. Good grief, woman, but it is the truth. Katsuki and I had to study and do work while you can just laze off all you want. And she stopped when Izuku did. She looked in front of her to see someone kind of familiar. Hey ya freaks, the red-headed teen from some months ago, accompanied by the same goons from last time, were still with him. Izuku glared at him before grabbing Jiro's hand and tried to walk through them. Let's go. The red-haired one put his hand on Izuku's chest, making him stop on his tracks as he glared from the side to him. That was simply rude. Freak. Watcha say if talk in a more private place. Izuku gave Jiro a look that she gave him back, a worried one. Don't worry, we just have unfinished business with ya. Jiro, Izuku said, go to my place and tell mom that I'll be in Gaol. Again. For more than Jiro wanted to ask for the again part, she saved it for later and simply nodded as she left towards Midoriya's residence to tell Inkle the bad news. The three quirkless men escorted Izuku to an alleyway, where 3 more were waiting. Yeah, no, the redhead said as they surrounded him in a circle. I still remember what you did to me last time we met, he said, pulling out a small switchblade. Different from last time you made me lost my grandpa blade. You humiliate me in front of my boys. He carves the blade, but this time I will avenge that and every single normal folk that had to suffer for one of your freaks. Izuku closed his eyes as he sighed. Good grief. People like you really have no cure, do you? He opened his eyes that started to shine red. I am sorry if you had ever been harmed by a QUIRKED, but that doesn't give you any right to punish the rest. Izuku stopped time and went to punch him in the gut 2 times. Time resumed and the 5 goons were surprised. But the red-headed one didn't have time as the punches were felt and he lost his breath, just before getting a knee on the face knocking him out. What followed could be described as The Rock would say laying the smackdown in their candy asses. Izuku blocked, dodged while freezing time and knocking the 6th man out. He wiped some blood that jumped to his cheek with his thumb. He was about to leave when he turned around and saw 2 police officers pointing at him and an elder woman pointing at him. It's him. That's the freak beating those boys. Izuku sighed as he raised his arms, knowing that whatever he says would be ignored or used against him. Good grief. Police station. Please officer, Inko cried, just tell me how many people he killed. Mrs. Madrya, he didn't kill anyone. He just got into a fight. Inko let go a sigh of relief. But we are afraid he can't be bailed out. Eh? Inko asked, and the officer cleared his throat. Izuku had been arrested 5 times. As a QUIRKED he will be sent to a reservation. A reservation, it is what it sounds like. They send QUIRKED people that seems too dangerous for society. Those places are poorer than anything you can imagine, plagued with booze, drugs and delinquency. The higher rates of suicides and homicides are in reservations. But the officer continued, after the foundation of that and because he is a minor, he can go there, be under house arrest for a month and then he can graduate and do anything that they do once they are done. Thank goodness, I thought. Inko started before the officer interrupted again. The problem is that he refused to sign the papers authoring it. Inko slapped her face. She knew that Izuku hated Shota, but this is just ridiculous. She knows she can't convince him, so she can only think of one person. Excuse me, but I need to make a call really fast. Class 1A dorms, for fuck's sakes. Deku got arrested again. Katsuki screamed after receiving a text from Inko. Relax dude, everyone here had been arrested once or twice, Kirishima, his room partner said, and Katsuki glared at him. 5 fucking times. And in your terms, hair for brains, reservation. Kirishima grinned. Nah, since the founding of this place, the first choice and the only one people usually chose, is to come here. Yeah, he is so choosing reservation. Katsuki walked out of there ignoring Kirishima as he headed to the door. It is Saturday and 6 p.m., so he has an hour. He reached to the door at the same time that did Aizawa. Where are you going, Bakugo? Katsuki growled. Wherever the fuck I want. Aizawa gave him a dry look. Are you going to see Izuku? And what if I do? Aizawa nodded. Come on, I'll drive. By the way, Yagi insisted on coming. Katsuki growled. I bet the last person he wants to see is you. We'll see. Police station. Well, I was right. Deku and Aizawa are face to face. Deku behind bars, Deku glaring at him, and Aizawa haven't changed his expression at all. Brat, get out. I am taking you home. Piss off, Aizawa. Oi Deku, let's go. I know you hate your shit for brains, Dad, but it is better to come to that and dead in a reservation, I said, trying to convince him, and Deku gave me a dry look, the same one the moron gives me when he thinks I say something stupid. I'll handle it. This is going nowhere, Aizawa said as he opened the cell door. Izuku was about to stop time and sucker punch Aizawa, but Aizawa activating his quirk, Izuku was useless, so he simply aimed a punch to his face. Izuku tried to kick him in the stomach, but Aizawa grabbed his feet. Don't make me repeat myself again. I am taking you home. Then Izuku gritted his teeth as a small laugh was heard. Excuse me Shota, mind if I can talk with him? It was a skinny, like skeleton skinny, blonde man in a yellow suit with black stripes that was eating him. Aizawa let go of Izuku. Sure, if you think it will work. The man got into the cell and Izuku eyed him. He closed the cell door behind him as Katsuki and Aizawa watched from outside. Hello, mind if I sit? He asked and Izuku nodded, unsure. I guess. Thanks, he said as he sat down. I am Tashin or Ayagi, by the way. I didn't ask. Yagi chuckled a little. Well, young Midoriya, I guess it is just polite to introduce ourselves, don't you think? Go to the point. Yes, young Midoriya, I want to offer you something. Izuku raised a brow but said nothing, letting Yagi to continue. You know why you was built? To keep quirked away from quirkless, Izuku quickly answered and Yagi chuckled. Maybe, but it was to prepare the future generations of quirk to integrate in this world. The fear will not disappear from day to night. That would take years or even decades. That isn't something I don't know, Izuku said and Yagi nodded. Maybe, but I know something that you might not. What is it? You might build this persona of a tough guy, but in the inside, I know you are a good kid, a kid that cares for the people that is important to him. So now tell me, how much better would it be if you can be part of that generation that changed the world? A generation that helped to unify quirked and quirkless. Izuku looked to the ground before snapping his tongue. Good grief. I will only accept because it is better than the reservation. Yagi chuckled. It is good anyways. Monday. Name. Izuku looked behind him to see his mom smiling at him. He took a deep breath before answering. Here goes nothing. A broken bar. Festival of Caution. Izuku. It is time to wake up, Izuku growled as he turned to face his bed, trying to avoid the screams of his roommate, Tanya. Good grief. It is Sunday, Izuku complained, but Tanya ignored his complaints. Mr. Aizawa said that he had an important announcement to do today. He will meet us in the common room. See? More reason to stay and sleep all day. After getting Izuku into some shorts and tank top, he dragged him to the common room and let him fall into the couch face first. Is he okay? Mineta asked, seeing the new boy not responding at all. He is like that most of the time, but today seems even worse. Maybe it is because having someone like Tanya as a roommate. Jiro grinned as she sat on his back. Hey sleeping beauty. Time to wake up. Izuku mumbled something against the pillow that sounded something like good grief woman. Get off me. Alright, listen up, Aizawa said, entering the room, and the attention of everyone minus Izuku, still facing the pillow, went to Aizawa. As you know, I just started operating this year and the 3 classes we made are finally full. So, the principal decided to throw a festival, or a sports festival to be more specific. Hey, that sounds awesome. Taruhaga cheered and Mina nodded along. I can't wait to show my skills to everyone. Katsuki grinned maniacally. I will destroy the competition here. As the class chatted up, Jiro looked down to Izuku with a smile. Hey, aren't you excited? Izuku turned his head to look to his father. There is something behind it, right? The chatter of the class died down as once again they looked to their teacher. Aizawa sighed. You are right. Besides, to give the students a chance to know each other better, the government had asked us a test to see how well you guys know to use your quirks. All the excitement of the previous announcement was nowhere to be found. The feeling of the class could be described in 2 words given by Izuku before he turned back to the pillow. Good grief. Cafeteria. This is bullshit, Katsuki said as he, Jiro, Izuku, Okoko and Kirishima ate. But I thought that here we were safe, Okoko said as Kirishima grinned. We are. I bet that they will just give them some reports and nothing else. Trust me, we can't be better. So let's have fun at the festival. You don't get it, do you? Izuku asked, and Kirishima raised a brow, making Izuku close his eyes. Good grief. This place is just one big lie for quirked. They lock us here, have us under watch 24/7, and now they will have us act in front of them. Aren't you exaggerating a bit here? Jiro asked, and Izuku looked at a camera that was on a corner of the roof. Not at all. Because believe me, if someone dies here, they would care less. You know what, man? Kirishima said as he stood up and glared at Izuku. Ever since you arrived, the only thing you had done is complain and blaze off, and I am sick of it. So, I will say it one more time, this is a safe place for quirked, away from the idiots of the quirkless. Do you The only idiot here is you." Izuku interrupted him and the glare intensified, but Kirishima didn't say anything. "I agree. Most of the harm done to the Quirked is done by Quirkless. We might be more powerful, but they still beat us 10-1. But that power that we have can be used wrongly." "What? Do you think that all the news saying that a man killed someone with his quirk was made out of thin air? They put it over the ones of Quirkless killing or harming Quirked. But the fact remains both sides are just as guilty for hating each other. And if you can't see it, then you are also part of the problem." "Okay, that's it," Kirishima snapped as he hardened his fist and aimed a punch to Izuku's head. He moved to the side without stopping time, grabbed Kirishima's head and smashed it against the table and held it there. "Don't do that again," Izuku warned as Kirishima glared at him. "Excuse me," Yagi said as he got close to the group. Izuku released Kirishima and looked at Yagi. "May I borrow young Midoriya for some minutes?" "Sure," Izuku said, standing up and following Yagi to his office. "This isn't over," Kirishima screamed at him to receive a whatever. The redhead crossed his arms. "What a douche. And you, hair for brains, you started this." As the group went back to talking, Shito Todoroki, that was putting his tray away, watched as Izuku left the cafeteria with curiosity hiding in his cold eyes. "Who are you?" "Izuku Midoriya." "Yagi's office." "What is it, Yagi?" Izuku asked as he sat in front of the teacher that sipped tea. "Did you hear the news?" he asked, and Izuku raised a brow. "I hope you know that is a vague question." "About the attack that happened in the mall." "That new." He heard Momo comment about it. "Something I heard." Yagi nodded. "Well, basically some quirked individuals attacked the mall, killing multiple people. That is what the press said, but the press is usually full of shit," Izuku said, and Yagi chuckled. "That is one way to say it, but yes, you see, we received a notification of the Minister of Quirked Relationships, that is in charge of this institution, that one of those men that died was the one in charge of the documentation of the festival, and compared to all the chaos and destruction that happened there, he simply died of a slit throat." "That is word for an attack like that. From what you are telling me, it must have been of quirks that can destroy or damage big time and quickly." Yagi nodded. "Indeed. And not only that, in the attack, there were no quirked harmed or killed, even after they were 20 reported to come in." Izuku narrowed his eyes. "What are you trying to say me?" Yagi took another sip of his tea before sighing. "I don't know, my boy, but I have a bad feeling. I commented this with the principal, but he has faith that the festival will go without any problem." Izuku nodded. "And why are you telling me this, instead of everyone?" Yagi grinned. "Well, my boy, I believe that you wouldn't panic at an old man conspiracy theory. Besides, I know you would do the right thing if something happens." Izuku lifted a brow. "Thanks, I guess." Yagi chuckled. "Anyway, go back with your friends. I bet they miss you." Izuku nodded, unsure as he rised and left the office. Yagi grin dropped once Izuku was out of sight as he looked to the window. "Everything will turn out right, right? Interesting. So, was it what you were looking? Indeed. Thank you. To the four of you. This information will result useful, and this quirk will help me pay him back. Now leave and prepare. We have a festival to attend. A new enemy. This is stupid, Izuku said as he got into the sports clothes of a who cares. We are forced to do this anyway, Katsuki said as he went with his friend to the arena, where the other classes were waiting. As they got out of the tunnel and into the stadium, they saw all the students in the closed arena. From what they heard, it is underground to avoid any incident with the outside. Say, one quirk gets out of hand and destroys the stadium, harming bystanders outside, or if someone wanted to sneak in and ruin the thing. Besides, this was top secret. No one knows about it. The three classes got in a line in front of the teachers and the principal. That was some sort of animal in a business suit. He could recognize Nimri and Yamada there, two close friends of Shota that he remembers them visiting them quite often. Welcome students. Welcome to the first ever sports festival. Nezu. The principal cheered to little reception from the students. Many weren't interested in taking part of this, due to boredom or already knowing about the real thing. As Nezu continued his speech, explaining the different activities and that each student must participate at least in 2 events, Jiru picked up something with her jacks. It was a small sound increasing by the minute. Izuku, that was next to her, gave her a side glance. Something wrong? I don't know. I hear something, but before she could finish that sentence, the entrance where the students entered was violently broken as masked individuals entered the scene. What many thought was a quirkless attempt to kill them, they were quickly surprised when many of them started to show quirks. What the hell? Kirishima asked, not expecting to see this. Is this some joke? Attention everyone. We came here to take you to a better place. Please don't try anything and you won't be harmed. Don't play the hero. Yeah. Yamada screamed at them, and using his quirk he knocked out many of them. In an instant, teachers and masked men were attacking each other. All in the meantime, the students didn't quite know how to react. Nezu, who stayed behind to see the situation, sighed sadly. I was afraid something like this would happen. He looked at the students. Don't panic. We have this under control. Head to the emergency exit and get back to the academy. There you will be safe. The don't panic part didn't seem to mix well with most students as the majority rushed to the exit screaming, calling the attention of the assailants. Seeing that taking this calmly would be idiotic at this point, Izuku grabbed Jiru's hand and dragged her to the exit where all the students were heading. What's going on? Jiru asked, and Izuku narrowed his eyes. We are under attack. Who the fuck would attack us, especially Quirked? Katsuki, catching up with them, questioned to no one in particular. This is a joke. It must be a joke, Kirishima continued saying as they got in the exit tunnel. Izuku started to notice that along the way, there were some sort of blue marbles spread on the floor. On closer look, it looked just like people was inside them. Izuku quickly grabbed his two friends' shoulders as he stopped time and dragged them into another hall. Once time resumed, both Jiru and Katsuki were confused. Why you did that? Jiru asked, and Izuku motioned them to follow him. There was someone with a quirk that could trap us quickly and easily. I rather not run that risk. Hey, but you ran into me now. In front of them, a muscular, blonde teen was there standing. He had a smirk on his face as Izuku and Katsuki glared into him. You fucker. You did this? Katsuki demanded as their opponent laughed. I just helped. But boy, will I get a kick out killing you three smartasses. The teen arms started to morph as muscles came out of his body and surround them. Izuku froze time and rushed to him and punched in the abdomen. Once time resumed, the only reaction he had was a slight flinch followed by a smirk. Is that all? Die! Katsuki screamed as he jumped and propelled himself using his explosions and blasting one right on his face. Once the smoke dispersed and both teens backed down a bit, his face was covered by more muscles that then retreated back into his body. Is really all that you two got? He screamed, getting annoyed. I came here waiting for a good fight and all I got was a weak-ass punch and a lame explosion. But before he could continue with his tantrum, he got frozen in place. Izuku saw his opportunity, froze time and went to punch him on the face. Only that this time, he stuck his thumb on his eye. Deep time resumed and blood came out of the eye socket as their enemy let out an agonizing scream. Let's go, Shido said, as he was the one that came in their aid. They rushed away as Katsuki looked at him. Why the fuck you helped us? Otherwise you were going to die. He was stronger than both of you and even me. I just one time freezing him. Good grief. And what we got ourselves into, I don't know. But the exit is around here, Shido said as they took a turn and they saw the entrance to A that was intact. Jiru grinned. We made it. They tried to open the door to find it locked. Go away, a student screamed from the other side that was probably holding the door. Oi, we are also students. Let us in, Katsuki screamed as a sigh was heard the other side. My. Can you confirm it? A tired voice was heard at the other side. After some seconds of silence, another more cheerful voice was heard. Yep, they are clean. The door quickly was opened as some students let them in. Just in time as blue flames were quickly headed their direction. They closed the door and they could recognize some teachers and some students. But Izuku was sat on front of the coffee table in the common room as he stared at the brown liquid in front of him. 15 students. 5 from each of the 3 classes were kidnapped. The authorities already gave up on them due to 72 hours with them not appearing. He tightens the grasp on the cup. This is bullshit. It was their fault that 15 students were kidnapped, but because of them being quirked, they can give less than two shits. Good grief, he muttered as the lights of the common room were turned on. You are still here? Shito Todoroki asked him. He was wearing some white pajamas as he stared at Izuku. Yeah, just thinking about what happened, he asked, and Izuku nodded. Shito sat in front of him. Momo, she was taken too. Izuku raised a brow. Are you two friends or something? Friends, Shito said as he looked at him to the eyes, and I am going to save her. Izuku closed his eyes. How? Not even the government know where they are. What chances do you have? She gave me a tracker before we were split. Shito interrupted him as Izuku lazily opened his eyes. A what now? A tracker. Her quirk allows her to create anything if she knows how it works. Basically, she created a tracker if we got lost in the heat of the moment, he explained, and Izuku raised a brow. And if you had that all along, why didn't you give it to the police? I tried, but they ignored me. Makes sense. Izuku agreed, and on that same topic, why are you telling me this? Because I want you to help me to save her and the rest. Izuku gave him a blank look. He took a sip of coffee before answering. Repeat that again. Shito sighed. Look, it is clear that the authorities are not going to do anything to help some freaks, and I need to save Momo, but I know I can't do it alone. Good grief, Izuku said as he closed his eyes. Are you even listening to yourself right now? So, let's say we managed to get there, and then what? We just burst in ready to fight God knows how many people. What you are saying is ridiculous. He opened his eyes to look at him. We don't even know if she is still alive. Shito glared at him before giving his ultimatum. Uomi. Izuku raised a brow. Really? How and why? I saved you, remember? So you want me to risk my life again to save someone I don't know, just because you feel that I owe you after you saved my life? Izuku said, and Shito growled. Look, I need your help. You are the only one I know and trust that can help me. Besides, don't you want to know who was behind the attack? I do, but I don't think it is worth risking my life. Basi, Deku, we should help him, Katsuki said, entering the room. Izuku raised a brow. So, he convinced you, under the same excuse number. I just want to fuck up the asshole that did this, and I know you want to do the same. Izuku closed his eyes. Good grief, I really must be an idiot for actually going with this, he said, standing up. Fine, I'll help, but we need something to hide our identities. Even if we are doing something good, using our quirks in public is still illegal. I agree. Any ideas? Shito asked, and Katsuki grinned. I have one. Masks, he exclaimed with a grin, and Izuku nodded. It isn't a bad idea. But from where we will get them? Shito asked, and Katsuki grinned. Don't worry about it. I'll have them by tomorrow. Shito closed his eyes and nodded. Then we are doing it tomorrow night. We meet here at this hour to leave, he said before he left back to his room. Izuku turned to Katsuki with his tired expression. I still don't like this. Me neither, but I just know that someone will blow up tomorrow, at a warehouse. This is stupid, Izuku said as they were looking at the warehouse where the signal of the tracker was. They were all dressed in black clothes, black t-shirts and black cargo pants, black gloves and black boots, and the finishing touches, a mask with a skull pattern that only covers half of the face. We are already here, so let's go, Shito said, adjusting his mask. The security was low. These are the slums of the city and where many quirk live. Even at these hours of the night, you can see people just trying to walk straight. They got in by a window that was broken, and what they saw inside was shocking. Not only the students that were kidnapped were there, also other people, all locked in some cells. The fuck? Katsuki said as he watched with eyes full of horror. Shot was in a similar state, but didn't say anything. He was looking at the scene, recognizing many students and noticing that many were missing. Let's go, Izuku said as they continued to watch from the roof. If they found Momo. No, let go off me. They heard a scream and Shito looked where it came from. Momo, Shito said, and before he could do anything, Izuku froze time, went to the guy that was dragging Momo, and choked him out. Momo looked at him as Shito and Katsuki jumped there. Momo, Shito said, taking his mask off. It is me. You are safe now. Momo jumped to hug her friend and Katsuki smirked. Great, Now we can go. What? No. What about the others trapped here? Momo asked, and Izuku rolled his eyes. Good grief, we are already risking a lot just coming here. But, I agree with Deku. We should leave while we can, Katsuki said, and Shido sighed. Sorry Momo, but we only came for you. But. These people are suffering. Once they caught you, you never come back, Momo said with such despair in her eyes that made Izuku thought twice. Good grief, Momo. Guide Shido where the prisoners are. Katsuki, you and I will destroy and knock all the assholes we meet, he ordered as Shido placed his mask back on as he and Katsuki nodded. Good. Guide them outside once you free them. 1 hour later. Hey, that went well, Izuku said, and Katsuki's in Shido's room with Momo there too. Maybe way too well, Shido said as he took off his mask and threw it on the bed. You three did a great good tonight. Thank you, Momo said, and Katsuki grinned. Yeah, but it was a one thing only, right? Izuku and Shido nodded as Momo decided to leave the room and go inform that she is back. Once she left the group, Shido looked at both of them. We are doing it again, aren't we? His response were 2 nods. I'm sorry. Please. I am. A golden fist went through the man's chest, killing him. The fist disappeared as the owner of the quirk looked at the corpse with a scowl. Useless trash. You four better get all the rats that escaped back, and for the ones that freed them,